does a lot on and off the field. Well, he did do, and off the field he's still doing a lot. So you know, we're not going to take that away from him. I'm just standing until he, you know, everything goes well for him in the near future.
He's, you know, the best central defender outside the Premiership, and it's great that we're back there for people like him when he does come back from his injury, that he will be performing there again, because that's where he deserves to be. But let's not take nothing away from Kit, who's come in and done tremendous.
Really weird circumstances, me getting back into the team with Chris having his injury, and it all happening obviously in that 1 week as well, and it being the Man United game also. So it was very strange. I was pleased to get my chance, but obviously I was more concerned about best mate being laid up with a dodgy leg.
When I first came down 3.5 years ago, so many people said to me, don't, because, you know, the second division, and I was making a big mistake, and you know, we'll never get back to the Premiership. So it's sweet for me now, because I always believed that we were going to get to the Premiership, and I believed that Fulham were going to be successful, otherwise I wouldn't have signed. I didn't think we'd get to the Premiership in 3 years, if I'm honest. I thought there'd be more 4 or 5, but you know, it's sweet now. I can look at those people and say, I told you so.
Fulham fans arriving at the cottage for the Norwich game were greeted with the news that Louis Saha had earned the Nationwide League Player of the Year award, polling an incredible 57% of the votes. Not bad for someone who was an unknown entity 4 months before. And keeping true to form, it was Louis who broke the deadlock.
Still Louis Saha, right foot, Louis Saha! Goal number 22 for Fulham's French protégé. Finally breaks down Norwich City, and Fulham lead by 1-0.
Fulham goal scorer number 20, Louis Saha.
Rufus Brevitt then eventually with this free kick for Fulham as we enter injury time. Is it fine, Boa-Morte? Left foot shot, Boa-Morte! That's audacious, and that's 2-0 for Fulham at the death.
Fulham goal scorer number 22, Louis Boa-Morte.
Louis Boa-Morte finally puts this game beyond Norwich.
It wasn't a vintage performance by any stretch of the imagination, but it was 2 more goals and, more importantly, 3 more points. Watford was still reeling from the battering they received at the cottage 3 weeks earlier as we made the short hop to Vicarage Road.
At the Cox, but in goes Boa-Morte, and there's the first goal. Watford lost their concentration, and they have paid for it fully.
According to Graham Taylor, Fulham had only 3 players who had cut it in the Premiership. Do I not like that, came the retort from many of the Fulham squad as we executed an away performance imbued with pace and precision.
But just before the hour mark, Boa-Morte has slipped in there to underline his awareness in front of goal and embarrass Watford's defending. Terrific work by Boa-Morte. That is chasing back. Being an example of how much they do work hard for each other. Davis, very cool play. Now Clark, so often hovering in support of the front players. Oh, that's a lovely ball. Boa-Morte! Clark, the instigator. Boa-Morte with the finish. It was super football then by Fulham, who broke so incisively from defence to attack, and in such deadly fashion. Wonderfully weighted ball then by Clark. Boa-Morte pounced in a flash, and there was nothing more that Watford could do from there. Chamberlain committed, couldn't get down in time. It's a second goal for Fulham. It's a second goal for Louis Boa-Morte. Danger here, in goes Wouter, and it's barged in by Helgeson. And they are back in the game. A moment's hesitation at the back from Fulham, and Helgeson has pounced. Nielsen's long throw in here, they haven't really dealt with it, Fulham. There's Mooney going in, and Wouter, and then Helgeson, the Icelandic international, on as a substitute. to fire his team back in the game. But did he use his arm there? The evidence would suggest maybe he did. Now Finnan. Lee Clark.
Yes.
Goldbeck giving them some width again with Finnan. And here is Bjarni Goldbeck. Bearing down on goal. Back for Saha. Two-goal advantage is swiftly restored. Saha, who's been threatening a goal all afternoon, really. And with 9 minutes left, have they now seen off Watford's challenge? It was beautifully constructed. Goldbeck so intelligently pulling it back after Finnan's good work. He's looked up here. He's seen Saha. They weren't really tight on him in truth. And it was steered in confidently enough by the Frenchman.
Since calling the match off 4 weeks before, Trevor Francis got the benefit of playing a Fulham team without Coleman, John Collins and Wayne Collins. But that wasn't the half of it. With Barry Hales still injured and Karl-Heinz Riedler only fit enough to make the bench, suspensions for Saha and Boa Morty must have been music to Trevor Francis' ears.
Granger, Lazaridis, Sonner, Eden. All fancying a stab at this one. But it's Martin Granger.
As the pitch deteriorated, so too did Fulham's fluid style, as the Blues' defence stayed resolute. An almighty black and white army of 4,000 ventured to the bush to witness Fulham's first away victory at Loftus Road in 70 years.
This could be an area that Jerry Francis could be very closely looking at.
Bolstered by the return of Louis Saha, it was Peter Muller who did the initial damage.
It's Muller. Muller shot. Oh no! What a mistake by Linet Mafroshko. I just don't believe it. It slipped right underneath him. And Fulham have somehow grabbed the lead at the death in this first half. And that is so disappointing for QPR.
Karl-Heinz Riedler announced his return with a trademark header.
Over comes the corner. And the header. It's 2-0 now. And game over, I would say. So Fulham 2-0 up.
By the start of February, the bookies had paid out on Fulham winning the First Division Championship.
Here's Saha, and this time he has slipped Boa Morty through. 1-0. And quiet as they have been so far, the minute they sparkle into life, it is with the inevitable result. Fulham score, Boa Morty's got it, and is grateful to his strike partner for setting it up.
Well, I'm just saying how the front two have really struggled to be in the game, but just look at the way Saha just takes his ball. The problem is there at left-back. Sanford plays everybody on, and it's about the composure then of Lewis Boa Morty, and he maintains that composure. At times I've seen him in this position 1-against-1, and he's fluffed opportunities like that, but he really did keep a cool head, went past Simon Tracy, and then it was about the finish, and the finish was into an open net.
But a rapidly deteriorating pitch and a solid Sheffield United away record was more than the resumed partnership of Saha and Boa Morty could overcome.
The free kick on, the header's gone in, and it's Jaffo who's got it.
As the reserves began to score goals by the truckload, the first team struggled to regain their fluency as a goalless draw at Oakwell ensued. Fulham had chances in abundance, but once again it was the opposition goalkeeper who earned the hosts a point.
It's Ward, and that was arrowing towards the Fulham net until it struck the head of Andy Melvin. And when it breaks down, Boa Morty will use his pace. He's blistering. Boa Morty, brilliant run, and they shout to the Fulham players for a penalty or a free kick. This time Neil fails to get the ball back to Ward. They could suffer the consequences here. It's Boamorte. Oh, and a clever chip over to Sahar. Well, the first bit of football there was brilliant from Boamorte.
By now, it was becoming apparent that our fellow Division 1 compatriots were getting the measure of Jean Tigonnar's style. But Forest provided some brief respite from the damage limitation tactics employed by so many. We took a first-half lead through the highest goal scorer in the country, Louis Sahar.
The Gallic goal machine is back on track. Fulham ahead on 19.
Fulham goal scorer number 20, Louis Sahar.
It was a lovely pinpoint ball from Kit Simons beyond the Forest defence.
But David Platt's tactical switch to 3 attackers in the second half made for a nervous final quarter for Fulham.
Louis Boamorte onto it. Fed Sahar. And that's goal number 24 for Louis Sahar.
Turf Moor has never been a good hunting ground for Fulham, and despite this season's good fortune, the points still eluded us. Although Barry Hales marked his comeback with a second-half goal, his 17th of the season, Burnley snatched a late winner to complete only our 4th league defeat.
As he enters the edge of the area, Finan on the goal, he keeps going, Finan! Oh, and that's the goal. It's Hales who scores it. Finan got a lot of space on the right-hand side. His cross was good, and what a disappointment after a great start from Burnley.
A great football from Fulham, you must admit. When they run at players, they're so quick in that, to get that goal in there.
Little. Onto that, Thomas on the right wing. Paul Cook again. Burnley have territorial possession. Don't seem to be going anywhere at the moment. That was a bad one. But Taylor gets in there. Now then, Weller plays on that right-hand side. A good cross is called for. It's a good one. Taylor, it's in. It's a goal.
Gillingham had surprised many by holding their own in Division 1, and like Turf Moor, Priestfield was another traditionally ominous ground for Fulham, and it seemed as if our poor record there might continue. But 2 goals in the last 20 minutes, one from John Collins and a sweet strike from Louis Boamorte, saw the curse finally crack for the first time since Boxing Day 1988.
Boamorte's onto this one then, and he threads it beneath the Gillingham keeper. Typical Louis Boamorte, running onto the through ball, taking it into the box and just slotting it beneath the keeper for Fulham's second.
With the plans for the new stadium edging further and further towards that all-important green light, March began with a clash of the Titans as we hosted Bolton at the Cottage. Bolton had been soundly beaten by arch-rivals Blackburn the previous week, and with all 3 teams chasing automatic promotion, it made for a compelling spectacle.
Here's Sahar. Here's Hales. Oh, beautiful!
As Tigonnar's men once again exuded that zip that had been so apparent at the start of the season, Fulham laid siege to the Bolton goal.
Clearly thinks that he's going to get it on his left foot, and he almost decides to read the situation. There you can see, perhaps gets a little bit lucky, but really with his second touch is absolutely magnificent in the way that he slots that ball home. He has plenty of composure, plenty of belief, knows exactly where he is, and Fulham take a deserved lead.
Charlton. Ellsworth gets the free kick. Little push by Melville.
Used all his experience, didn't he, Dean Ellsworth? Just did enough there, just at the right time.
Francis kick, a goal!
Sam Allardyce was pleased with the point, and he was extremely lucky to get it. An uncomplicated but nonetheless satisfying home win over local rivals QPR